Hello everyone. So I decided to do one more video, just one, yeah, explaining a new race that I have pretty much created and they'll probably not be prominent in my story, but they're kind of like a way for me to do like a fantasy sort of element, it'll be kind of like a distraction to my main story, but also I've been wanting to have some fantasy-esque-ness with my story and have I don't know, I just really wanted this. And the unfortunate part is that with Fae, there's a lot of mythos already in place for Fae races and what exists, and it felt weird to me trying to create more Fae or trying to fit characters I already have, such as Flim Flam, into being a Fae when there was nothing that fit exactly what I had in mind for them. So I cheated and made a race, and I named them Earthkin. And she's one of them. Her mothers are. I have other characters I'm about to introduce to you that are part of this. And to put it as simply as I can, so I'm not here forever boring you to death, Earthkin are what happens when the Earth dreams. And specifically when the Earth has fever dreams. Basically, the Earth, whenever it gets sick, does what we do. We take naps, we rest, we try to make ourselves better, and that's what the Earth does. It goes to sleep, takes a nap. And what the Earth does on a daily basis is create, and it creates all sorts of life. Usually, though, it's awake and conscious of what it's creating, and so it creates things we need, things it needs, etc., etc. But when the Earth is sick and asleep, it's not quite in control of what it creates. And sometimes it creates things that we do actually need, people who inhabit the Earth, but that kind of mess with the balance of it a little bit. And so whenever, it creates, and then when it realizes what it has done, it tries to make a balance to it. And so that's kind of, it makes a balance within the thing it created. Like, for instance, their Flim Flam's race used to be many, a lot of them. But what's left so far of their race is her mother's, and another unnamed one that I don't know. I know she's going to be the head of what's left, which is three others, but and Flim Flam now exists because her mother's wished her into being. But they used to be so much more. But what they were created to do is the Earth, asleep, dreaming, decide to make creatures. They count as creatures, at least to the Earth. So even though they kind of have a human form, as you can see, they count as creatures. Anyway, though, so they were created because the Earth decided, there was a lot of suffering going around. What if someone could help with that suffering? And they actually do that by doing random acts of kindness. And they are small acts, but they are acts nonetheless. Because once the Earth figured out what it did and had created them, it's not like the Earth could... The Earth did not have it in itself to kill all of them, because that destroys balance. You have to have, according to the Earth rules. Now, in my opinion, it would be great if everyone was happy and had everything they wanted, but the reality is you have to have some suffer, some have more. You have to have a balance. Everything has to be balanced. So for the one person who has much, there has to be someone who doesn't. And that's, my story is all about balance. So even though, you know, that's not technically how it is, that's how it is in Storyland. So yeah, so they were basically had to reduce what they were doing. So they do small random acts of kindness that they feed off of. And that's how they survived. They would do a small act, like make money appear to someone who needed it, but only a little bit, like a $5 or $10 or something like that. And they would feed off the energy given from the person at being so happy to find that in their time of need. And since everything was so small, they could get by without the balance being thrown off, especially since they were feeding off the energy it gave off. So it was not like there had to be a counterbalance to the energy it was feeding them. So what made them die out is that they actually began to starve. And the reason why they began to starve is because for them to be able to feed off what the act of kindness they did, they basically had to have it be in some way attributed to them, even in a small way of, oh, the world always provides, the earth always provides, etc., etc. It had to be somehow attributed to them. But most people started attributing what was happening to them to a god, and they weren't able to feed off of that. So because of that, they began to starve and began to die. And some people, a lot of them died from starvation. Others died from, they started doing bigger and bigger acts of kindness to the point where they were coming off as like miracles, in hopes that, you know, if they made it super big, it would be attributed to them and they could eat and like store it. But it did not work out that way. In fact, it was too much. So they could only eat their fill, and then there was still spillover that had to be balanced out. And sometimes it was balanced out with their lives. And it was a horrible time. And that's why they wished her into being, because they were the two ones left and they didn't know what to do. And they used to be so many that they didn't know what to do. They didn't want them to die out because they were just used to so many being around. And she was wished into being, and now she actually goes about her random acts of kindness a different way. She actually goes about doing them in a kind of backhanded way, sort of. Like, she will do something evil that ends up being good, and then it kind of balances out that way. And then most of the time it's attributed to her in the end. So it's kind of neat how she goes about it. I'm not sure how to explain it, or I would. I came up with the kind of analogy of like, say you are at the club with your significant other and you go off to the bathroom, and while you're gone, they flirt with someone else. You get a text out of nowhere saying, you know, they're flirting with blah, blah, blah. You should do something about it. And she would do something like that. She causes mischief to get to good. But I need to come up with a better analogy of what she does. But that's what she does. And, but yeah, she's part of the Earthkin race. So I no longer have to fit her into being Fae, which is good, because there was no Fae that I could find that fit her or her mother's. It just was not happening. And I love this body, by the way. That's why I keep playing with her. It's like floof, floof, floof. But yeah, she's part of that. And so far, she is part of it. My Pukafi Vanilla is part of that. My Decadol Tinies are also part of the Earthkin story. And also some dolls that, yes, you have seen them before, but with different face-ups. And I've actually taken pictures of these guys, and put them on my Tumblr, but I never showed them on YouTube, and I realized that today, actually, that I never showed them on YouTube because I'm stupid. But yes, these two, my Doshato, Queen and Douglas, are also part of Earthkin, and they fell over, so their hair are messes right now. He has no eyes because I don't have any more gray eyes, and she has eyes that she came with, actually. But anyway, these two have new face-ups and a new identity. Together, they are named Blank Slate. And they actually used to be many as well before they were actually killed off. They did not die off, they were killed. And collectively, they were called Blank Slate. So there could be 100 or now 2, regardless of how many, they were just called Blank Slate. And they work better together, so that's why they're at least lucky to have 2 left. But they were mostly killed off because Blank Slate, what they do is they pretty much can become anything you want. So say you want a child, say you want a husband, a wife, a pet, whatever. They will become that for you and stay as long as you need them to stay, just as long as when you die, they get to eat your soul. So in a way, you know, they're a form of demon, but they definitely, they make that contract. They eat the soul so they can live. And, you know, it sounds harsh, of course, because, you know, in my story, there is a heaven and hell, and that's where your soul goes and whatnot. But, you know, it's the what can you say? Like, if you, it just depends on your situation and how desperate you are, I guess. But of course, many people did not like this deal, and would chicken out at the end and would kill them. Unfortunately, that does not mean your soul was safe, but it did mean that they were dead. They could not be brought back. They still have a heartbeat and still, you know, need to live. So if you kill them, they are dead. But your soul then goes out. You made a contract. You now still have a binding contract, even though they are dead. So people still found that their souls went to pretty much purgatory, and went to an in-between place and stayed there, which, you know, people only found out once. You know, there's no warning on that pretty much because there's no written lore about Blank Slate. Because not many people would think to write that down, because mostly when you go to them, it's a shameful thing. It's something you really don't want to broadcast. You want people to think, oh, you got that wife yourself or husband yourself or whatever. You want them to think that. So you're not going to write down, well, I made this deal with this thing called Blank Slate who's going to eat my soul, you know. I wouldn't write that down. But yes. Now to explain about their makeup and also their hands, which you couldn't see before. They actually are completely blank. Hence why they are Blank Slate, and hence why they can become whatever you need them to become. Because of that, they actually apply makeup with their hands. And not makeup, they actually apply ash to, just for fun. They pretty much do it to mimic their keeper. They have a keeper, these two. They have chosen him because he can see them and he wants nothing from them, and they just really like him, so they hang around him. And I have no idea his significance. I have no idea, you know, I just know that one day he will be a Dalzone Raymond and he will be their keeper, and that's pretty much all I know about him at the moment. But he, you know, always has like a life to, like, you know, blush cheeks and everything, and they kind of want to look more human and not just empty space to him. So they started painting their faces with ash, And that's why their hands are dirty and their faces look really smudgy and everything. And the rest of them are blank. Right now they're kind of wearing clothes that aren't them, because they usually actually do not wear clothes. But I didn't know, I kind of want them to wear like the least clothes ever, but in a really like kind of fashionable way. So I may be getting them lace, and that's all they wear, like just lace around their necks and waists or something, but we shall see. But yes, they are part of the Earthkins, and yeah, they're all different races, but they all fall under an umbrella term, just like Fae. And they are my way of getting around the restrictions that are Fae. It was hard holding $2, so I had to put him down. So it is a cheat, and I know that. But at the same time, I'm having so much fun with it. And my Nannery 14 is going to be part of it. Amsterdam, my Let's Kid Delfmaska, is also one of them. He's I'm not sure specifically about them yet, but he's one of them. And so will my Mifi Tika. It's going to be awesome. So I hope I didn't bore you to death, and I hope this all made sense. I'm still trying to piece it together, and in all honesty, I was trying to wait till I had everything written down before I, start talking about it, but I haven't had any time to write down. And I want to talk about it and plus introduce you to them. And I hope you can actually see their faces. I don't know. I'm actually really proud of how I did her face specifically. Though I really like his as well. I don't know. But his head is down. Hold on. Put your head up. There you go. I'm proud of his as well. I don't know. Their eyes will actually be completely, either completely white or a mix of white and gray. We shall see. And they're actually going to get different wigs. This is a handmade wig I made, and it's awful. This one, I love the color. Like, don't get me wrong. But if I take this hat off, it is the worst. And I don't want him to wear this hat at all. So I need to get them different wigs, fur wigs, preferably, but we shall see. But yeah, enough about my Earthkins, and I will send you on your way. That is, if you watched all this. So thank you so much if you did. If you didn't, I understand. Of course, you're probably not seeing this part. But yes, thank you if you made it this far. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.